My name is Emily, 38 years old. Though I'm nearly 40, I've recently become obsessed with Snoopy. I'm totally submerged in this obsession. At this age, getting hooked on a character, it's embarrassing, but so soothing. And now I can't take my eyes off the newly released merchandise. Today I wanted to tell you about the days when I didn't have this source of comfort. Let's go back about 10 years. At that time, I had just celebrated my second wedding anniversary with my husband Jason. A year older than me. Newlyweds, right? In the midst of happiness? No, don't underestimate the struggles of being a wife. Before getting married, I thought, from now on I'll overcome anything with my husband, just like a hero setting out on an adventure in a comic book. Our household was plagued by the formidable duo of my foolish husband and his equally foolish mother Megan. I found myself having to overcome everything alone. My husband was raised in a single-parent home by his mother Megan and his brother, my brother-in-law Alex. Alex is shy. Even during our marriage introduction, he'd barely greet me and quickly retreat to his room, avoiding prolonged contact. But after a year of marriage, through our occasional meetings, Alex gradually started to open up, albeit very slowly. Or rather, I have a knack for getting along with shy people. My best friend is shy, so is my childhood friend. I know the trick to befriending shy people. Don't be too forward or talk too much. Respect their space. Don't try to close the distance too quickly. Let them come to you. And when you talk, don't push too hard. A gentle herbivore-like approach lets them gradually come closer. Of course, this doesn't work with everyone, but it's been effective for me. Mostly without even trying. It just happens naturally. That's how I got to a point where Alex would call me Emily. But Megan didn't like this.
She always thought of Alex as shy, only able to open up to her. Not won't open up, but can't open up. She looked down on him.
Yet, to me, it didn't seem like Alex was particularly open with Megan. Maybe that's why Alex spoke to my husband but hardly to Megan, quickly leaving the living room. But I didn't want to stir things up in what seemed like a peaceful household. I kept quiet. I thought I shouldn't shatter Megan's pride, but when Alex started opening up to me, my covert efforts backfired.
Wow, Emily, he's smiling at you. Did you use some kind of charm on him?
I remember Megan's words followed by a hollow laugh, her eyes devoid of humor. This was no joking matter. Why should I be criticized for having a friendly conversation with a family member? I tried to let it go, but Megan's attitude gradually changed. Then came Megan's birthday. I visited my in-laws, bringing a cake and some fancy body cream as gifts. I thought beauty products would be perfect for beauty-conscious Megan.
But her first reaction was, cake for an old woman? It'll upset my stomach. Nice to be treated young, though, she said with a joyless face.
This wasn't an elderly joke. It was a clear snub.
Oh, do I look that dried up? Well, I am old. Do I really look that parched to you? Again, no real laughter in her eyes. Just a predatory glare.
I was speechless, unsure if I should smile back or retort. But maybe a joke would work?
Option 1, you're not dry at all. Wherever you go, it's like a flood. I might drown. Option 2, oops, my bad, Megan. Maybe it's too early for you. I'll just save it for your embalming. Can I have it back now?
As I hesitated, Megan's verbal onslaught continued.
Emily, your clothes are too flashy. You're too old for skirts now that you're married. Just wear gray pants or something. Why aren't the contents of your bag divided into pouches? Can't you organize? Your shoes are worn out. Walking around like that is embarrassing for Jason.
After being nagged like this, my desire to celebrate her birthday vanished completely, and I returned home feeling deflated. But that wasn't all. Megan started calling our house. Until then, she had favored Alex, whom she condescendingly deemed shy, and showed little interest in my husband. We'd never received such calls before. Yet ever since Megan noticed how well Alex and I got along, she started calling our house incessantly. Most of what she said was trivial.
You should be the one calling to check on me, she'd say. Come over on weekends, help with household chores, support your mother-in-law's life. Are you respecting your husband properly? You're so assertive, I doubt you can do that.
In Megan's eyes, I somehow became the villain who stole both her sons. She frequently made hostile remarks towards me, under the guise of concern for her sons, her daughter-in-law. I wish I could block her calls, but she's still my mother-in-law. I don't have the courage to do that, so I just endure. But it wasn't just the phone calls I had to endure. She started coming to our house, always when my husband wasn't there.
Every visit, she'd snoop around the house, critiquing everything. No sense in how things are arranged. Or watching me make coffee, inefficient at housework.
I didn't take her constant nagging insults seriously, but it was still hard to bear. For Megan, harassing me seemed to become a hobby. Always with a smile while she hurled her sarcasms. Glad you found a hobby, Megan. I even thought of sarcastically saying, the smile I never saw when I gave her gifts or expressed gratitude was always there when she insulted me. I couldn't find a single likable thing about her anymore. As these days continued, I knew something had to change, so I talked to my husband about Megan. If I could handle it well, I wouldn't be asking for advice. And Megan doesn't see me as a daughter-in-law but an intruding woman. Women can sense these things. Realizing my husband didn't grasp the point or our relationship, I felt a chilling detachment and disillusionment. Thanksgiving that year. It happened when I went back to my in-laws' house.
Megan greeted me with a smile. "Oh, Emily, I've been waiting for you. There's something I need you to do."
But
Her smile sent chills down my spine. I felt my heart filling with something it shouldn't.
"Emily, can you write these Christmas cards? There are about 400, but you're young. It should be fine."
Whether youth changes anything about writing Christmas cards, I was dumbfounded.
In our family, writing Christmas cards is the wife's duty. I'm sure it's the same in every household. I didn't let you do it before, but now that you're a part of the family, consider it your duty. Work hard.
Imposing duties on a wife seemed off, and not every household has such a tradition.
Of course you'll work on Thanksgiving too. As the lowest in our family hierarchy, you're meant to serve us.
Megan smiled slyly, pleased with herself.
I swallowed my frustration and responded, sure, I'll do my best.
The idea of being a part of the family felt disturbing. I had plenty of complaints, but this was an opportunity. I'll do this wife's duty as she wants. Oh yes, my clueless husband, unaware of my resolve, watched the scene with a content smile. He didn't realize the harassment I was undergoing. I didn't care anymore. I immediately started on my special Christmas card plan.
If only the card writing went smoothly, but Megan constantly interrupted.
Prepare the hors d'oeuvres, clean up the dishes, go buy toilet paper. It was so annoying. I realized that the Christmas cake in front of me had much more substance than my husband's brain, and my heart grew colder. I should have married a Christmas cake. Seeing my husband's face, oblivious to the typical mother-in-law and daughter-in-law drama like in a TV show, filled me with disgust.
Hasn't Emily been working too hard? Trying to defend me?
However, his intervention only fueled Megan's anger more. After all, it was because of Alex that she started disliking me.
Oh my, you really do like Emily, don't you, Alex? How indecent of her.
Alex, not understanding why I was called indecent, replied with a puzzled look. What? What are you talking about?
But I knew what Megan meant. She was insinuating that I was a temptress, something I never did, which is why Alex and I were both confused. Megan had already reached her conclusion in her imagination and was beyond reasoning.
Thanks, Alex, but I'm fine.
I said, continuing to fulfill Megan's tasks. Thank you truly, Alex. In the midst of Megan and my husband not being on my side, you were the only one who saw the truth. You are not someone to be looked down upon, but someone to be looked upon. As I secretly thought this, I completed all the Christmas tasks Megan threw at me. I was supposed to stay at my in-laws until the new year, but trouble started immediately. It happened one morning when I was sleeping in, because of Thanksgiving.
Megan burst into our bedroom, flung open the door, and yelled, "What have you done, Emily?"
Both my husband and I woke up groggily and replied, yes.
"What have you done?" I've been getting non-stop calls from relatives and Jason's work colleagues.
Still half asleep, I searched my memory. Ah yes, that's right. Realizing what happened, I casually replied with a smile, "Oh, that's terrible."
Apparently, Emily did something with the Christmas cards, and we're getting a lot of complaints, Megan said.
Well, yes, that makes sense. My little trick with the Christmas cards was a huge success. For someone skilled with computers, handling a few hundred Christmas cards was a breeze. Megan intended for me to handwrite them, but I borrowed a printer and a computer from Alex and finished the task easily.
I added a message at the end of each card, joining the trend. I've started a social media account. It includes daily life and things with my husband. Feel free to come and comment along with the QR code.
Since this morning, relatives have been telling me to take care of my wife. I've been getting nothing but lectures, and it's awful. What did you do?
Raged.
I just shared videos and recordings of my daily life on social media, accessible through the QR code. Mainly, I posted the things Megan kept saying to me, especially around Thanksgiving.
As I said this nonchalantly with a smile, Megan's face turned red with anger.
That's an invasion of privacy.
I'm just sharing a part of my life. Is there a problem with that?
The phone rang again as we spoke.
Enough. Why do I have to be blamed? Telling me to take care of the wife, not to project elderly egos on others. I've had enough.
But Megan, you used to tell me every day to live for my husband, to work for his family. You're just experiencing what you've been doing to me.
I said with a sarcastic smile.
You're such an ungrateful wife. What will become of you? What indeed?
What indeed?
I replied, not backing down. Watching me stand firm, my husband began to panic. Alternating glances between Megan and me, he seemed to finally realize the gravity of the situation. Just as planned, Megan still uses an old cell phone with a basic camera and small screen. I took advantage of that. Her old phone couldn't read QR codes. I even prepared a fake social media account just in case. With such thorough planning, I was sure to be safe. Retaliation on the internet was something Megan never expected. I was careful with the comments on the Christmas cards. The main goal was to get people to access the site. The simple invitation, "Come and comment," was a great success. The first page started with Megan scolding and continued with the worst footage of the harassment I endured. All the patience and enduring of constant criticism paid off. Just getting people to access the site was enough to spark curiosity. I put video data instead of audio recordings on the first page so it would catch attention immediately. Everything went according to plan. Actually, the response was even bigger than I expected. It was a pleasant surprise that my strategy not only elicited comments, but also caused the phone to ring off the hook. I think I deserve a pat on the back for this success. While I was smugly smiling to myself, my husband's phone rang. I wondered what was happening. Megan looked curious, and I had an idea. After hanging up, my husband sighed. My husband and I used to work at the same company before we got married. I quit when we married, but I had worked under George, the person on the phone, who was very fond of me. I had been working with him ever since. George was one rank below me, and I was his much-loved subordinate. When we got married, George jokingly warned my husband, saying, "I've nurtured her as my subordinate, so take good care of her." Of course it was half in jest, but George really did care about me. I can imagine that the call must have been quite intimidating for my husband. He looked so relieved after the call, as if he had forgotten how to breathe. I did expect George's assistance, but everything worked out perfectly. What a great turn of events, I thought. My husband asked.
I replied, "It's not about whether you've seen the video or not. I've tried to talk to you about it, but you never listened."
Meanwhile, the phone kept ringing. Megan didn't even try to answer it, probably knowing the content of the calls.
I've been ignored when I tried to discuss things, and the harassment only got worse. That's why I put the issue in a video and included it in the Christmas cards. When Megan asked me to handle the Christmas cards, it was a timely offer. I said sarcastically, "Well, my dear husband seemed fine with his wife being overworked at her parents' house during Thanksgiving."
My husband looked down awkwardly.
Deep down, you must have thought it was normal for your wife to work, not your parents or yourself. That's why you could ask me for another beer without a second thought, even when I was busy.
As I said this, my husband fell silent.
Megan tried to continue, but she's a wife, isn't that okay? When I was young?
Young what? Do you think it's okay to make your wife suffer just because you did? Are you seriously saying that? Is that the lesson of this house, to return the unpleasantness to others? I'm sick of this house, listening to the nagging of in-laws every day. And my husband doesn't help. I can't stand it anymore.
I blurted out my true feelings. My husband started to panic, realizing what I might say.
But she's a wife, isn't that okay? When I was young,
Young what? Do you think it's okay to make your wife suffer just because you did? Are you seriously saying that? Is that the lesson of this house, to return the unpleasantness to others? I'm sick of this house, listening to the nagging of in-laws every day, and my husband doesn't help. I can't stand it anymore.
I blurted out my true feelings. My husband started to panic, realizing what I might say.
Great. I have no more feelings for my husband. Let's get divorced right away.
Megan and my husband looked at me in astonishment. They didn't seem to understand, so I declared again, let's separate. I want a divorce.
are you abandoning me, Jason?
In the middle of the parent-child argument, Alex cut in. I don't like Mom either.
It was a disastrous family quarrel.
Mom's like this, that's why Dad cheated on her. Someone exclaimed.
We ended up bringing up past issues I didn't even know about, leading to a heated argument.
I did everything thinking of you guys. Megan tried to defend herself.
You always look down on us, Alex retorted.
So he felt that way too. Gradually, Megan was losing ground. Everyone spoke their mind, reaching a point where I wondered if things could ever be mended.
That's when I said, well, that's the end of it. I'll write and send the divorce papers later. Please take care of them.
He was no longer my husband to me.
The only consolation was Alex saying, Emily, take care.
I guess the only family-like affection I received was from Alex, not my husband. Thank you, I whispered in my heart as I left my in-laws' house.
Telling him living with an insensitive husband who can't be on my side is torture seemed to have an impact.
Now, I haven't been in contact with my ex-husband, but I've been reading the one-sided updates he sends. He lost credibility at work, being seen as unreliable and untrustworthy by George and our mutual colleagues. He's been overtaken by his juniors, not demoted, but certainly at a very low career point for his age. Moreover, the relationship between my ex-husband and Megan deteriorated further after our relationship soured, and his work failed. He started blaming everything on Megan, using her as a scapegoat for his stress. I think you're partly to blame, but if he understood that, we wouldn't have divorced. Now Megan, who harassed me, faces daily blame from her own son. I wonder how she feels. Being a real son, he can't just divorce her as I did. Let her suffer until she understands my pain, I thought. It might seem twisted, but can I say it? Honestly, I feel so liberated now. Arguing in a family just shows a lack of mutual understanding and consideration. If people truly looked out for each other's feelings every day, such conflicts wouldn't arise. This happens because everyone's actions are not considerate of others. Just thinking about themselves serves. Alex, it seems, couldn't stand the situation and left the family home. He even found a partner and is getting married, avoiding much contact with his parents. That's the right move. Anyone sane would stay away from that house. I believe, as someone who experienced it. As for me, I got a job at an advertising company after the divorce. Initially, my divorce and re-employment were a talking point. But I've done well and am now a section manager, possibly moving up to a department head. I'm enjoying my work so much that I haven't remarried, but I find this life fulfilling. I can spend my days just as I like. With a decent salary, I've taken up solo traveling as a hobby. My fondness for Snoopy began when I stumbled upon some limited edition merchandise on a trip. Sometimes I travel with colleagues too. Being single and living a meaningful life. Single isn't just okay, it's great. That's how I feel now.